Stories, the in-depth analysis of national current affairs. Freshly pressed.
You okay?
Smooth 98.1.
Studio mics up.
Invest your money where it's
Studio's live.
more money.
Lagos, good morning. Check your time. It's 7:13. Time for us to get into the detailed analysis of our newspaper stories this morning for the 27th of December 2018. And in the studio to do just that with us, start with CCOG Lagos. That's Miss Ireti Bakare-Yusuf. Good morning.
Right now, looks like the bag lady from Lagos.
We're in the same space, so it's alright, but you look gorgeous. Good morning and welcome.
That's what happens 3 days to the end of the year. Interesting. And of course, we have Cheta in. Good morning. Cheta, it's so good to see you at this time of the year.
Mr. Balance.
Because I understand you're a very busy man.
This village was sent. I don't even know why I'm in Lagos. I could have been enjoying fresh river Niger Bridge.
Sorry, no. Sorry,
I mean,
sorry, no.
it's annoying.
Yes, we're happy.
All this choked up air, no palm wine.
Come out your,
You'll be alright.
collect your.
Sorry.
He's here anyways. Find him on Twitter at Chickster. You can complete the list of things to complain about there.
I'm not forgetting Ugo Dre at Ugo Dre on Twitter as well. Good morning.
Morning, bro.
Welcome.
Excellent. It's looking very dapper. If you don't believe us, go over to our live stream, or at least our stream, which will be going up on YouTube in just a bit. And you can watch us. Make sure you're following us. We're at Smooth 91 FM. Use the hashtag FreshlyPressed981 to share your comments on this morning's newspaper stories and news stories, actually. And you can also send us messages to our WhatsApp number, which is 0809 444 0981. All right, so let's get into our first story for this morning from the Vanguard newspaper. Second Niger Bridge delay for funding restive community or environmental factors. Now, it's actually a bit of a report that's come in from Vanguard, which I found quite interesting as we break things in the studio, because that's what happens at the end of the year. But it really talks about where the Niger Bridge is, where the second Niger Bridge is supposed to be, how far in terms of work it has gone, because it's been a rather topical, a big topic of discussion. So, Cheta, I'd like you to take us through the story, please.
Well, it's just basically a sort of analytical kind of, or an attempt at analysis, as it were, which doesn't go nearly far enough. Let's go straight to the nitty-gritty. At this point in time, there's work going on the sites. It's not, that's not debatable. The question, the issue...
But it has been debated.
No. I'm from there, as in my village is, as it were, is where the bridge starts and stops. So, and I go there quite regularly. This year...
As chief concerned.
No, it says starts and stops. So the bridge starts and stops. So one half of my family is from one part to one half of my family is from the other side.
He owns the bridge, basically.
Nami be landlord.
Yes.
It's me that we're collecting it too. Now, the point is, at this point in time, there's no argument that work is going on. Some work is going on. The Abu Kiti, the Obio furniture, was taken there a few days ago for photo op. But the issue is, for someone like me, is that the work only started recently, which feeds into the distrust that a lot of people from that region have. Because, I mean, there's a big event coming up in 2 months' time, which is the election. We have been here before, where when election was coming, suddenly everybody, remember, let's start with Obasanjo signed a contract to start work on second Niger Bridge 5 days before the end of his tenure as president of Nigeria.
And
Goodluck Jonathan did signed contract in August of 2012, and then did groundbreaking in 2014 and all of that. And then there was furious pace of work just a few weeks to the election in 2015. And then after that, everything stopped. Aminu Diko, the Director General of the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, told the Senate in August of 2015 that there was a lot of corruption in the Goodluck Jonathan contract, so the government was probing the contract. Adam Soshomole said that, the project was cancelled because it cost 140 billion naira in consultancy fees alone, as a PPP project.
Because it changed
And then my Lememen, who was the Minister of Works under Jonathan at the time, I challenged Adams. I said, come approve this thing. Till today, he hasn't received an answer. Bottom line is that this thing stopped.
Right.
I was there on the site myself 4 times this year and put pictures on social media that nothing is going on. In short, in one of those times when I went to take pictures, I put it on Twitter. When I went to take pictures, the security people told me, don't take pictures. Government doesn't want this thing online.
Okay.
And I challenge
however,
people,
sorry, just so
wait
that
now,
people
let
know
me land, because
details.
this is emotional for me.
I know, which is why we
No,
should be objective.
so no, I'm being very objective
I know,
here.
I want to give our
The
listeners
point is,
information first,
you
so
are
can
giving
continue.
information that is incomplete. The
Wow.
point is that
But it is
Folu,
the newspaper articles we're talking
Kankoko.
from. Right.
The point is that
Right.
suddenly in October, Festus Keyamo now tweeted that, oh, work has started, and then showed us a contract that said it had been signed in September. So again, it was the fear that, and I had said this thing months before, that as the election approaches, they will suddenly start running around doing work on this stuff. But when I challenged people publicly in April, in February, in April, in July, follow me this place. We will stay in my parents' house and we will walk out to the site. I will pay for your transport. Nobody came.
Okay, so thanks for that, Cheta. Just to give people a bit of a background to what's been going on. Yes, the timeline is absolutely correct. That's what's been happening now. The reporters on the ground did speak to Adeyemo, who is the Federal Controller of Works for the area, and said, and something I just wanted to clarify, because you talked about the PPP and them probing the contract. And yes, it did switch from being a PPP project to being an NSI project. So the switch over funding took time. But he also said that, yes, that there were early works going on, but they're called preliminaries. So that's the feasibility studies, the design, the soil investigation, hydrological survey, and that's all the stuff you can see over the surface. And there being, 60% completion. But it is typical of administrations to speed up work around election time. We know this. It's not new information, but it's good that we covered that story.
So don't tell me about it. I just want
So
to
what's going to happen?
I just want to see a
You're just going
complete
to
bridge.
continue with the
You see,
bridge. Essentially, that's all that's
if
happening.
Buhari completes the
So
bridge,
for
vote
time
for him.
reasons,
it's not even if he wants me to
for
perform
time
acts on him,
reasons,
I
though,
will
we're
do
going
the
to move
acts.
on. Thank you. From the Punch newspaper next, Robberies. Obafemi Awolowo University students are appealing to the federal government management for more hostels. The student population, apparently Ugo Dre, is about 35,000. Bed spaces that are available, 7,980. So, I mean, I'm not excellent in math, but that's pretty shocking. A number of students are being accommodated off campus, but the real challenge here is that they're being attacked, and have been increasingly attacked more so this year, with a recent death resulting. A 300-level student, Abiodun Babalola, was killed as a result of injuries sustained during a robbery attack. Your thoughts on the story?
Yeah, which is exactly why the story is in the news again. Excuse me. There was a deadly robbery at a hostel in Ife. We had it over the holiday. Really sad stuff. And then a student was killed. And this robbery took place off campus. But you know, there's nothing new in this story. For at least I left university several years ago, and I don't think anything has changed since then.
You mean you used to get robberies?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, can you just get the mic off Cheta, please? So what I'm saying is that ever since we've known, since we've had universities, you've always had off-campus.
Yes.
Yeah, and
yes.
off-campus hostels have always been more than
Yes,
hostels that you have in school.
provided
So
for
It's like that all over the world.
Yeah, so
yes.
I really don't know what is surprising here.
I don't think it's surprising. I think there are a couple of things why we should be looking at the stories. One, we haven't spoken about welfare of our university students for a while, and this is outside of even just their educational side, but looking at their living conditions. And we've sort of taken for granted and for normal that, yes, well, you know, it's tough, just be tough. But doesn't the university have some sort of responsibility to the students of that institution, not only to provide something that might be commensurate? I mean, how much bed space has been improved in that space of time, but also looking at the security ramifications of it.
I think here the issue here is what the school can actually afford.
Exactly.
Excuse
I
me.
totally
So they are saying they have
agree,
7,980 bed spaces for 35,000 students. So I mean, what can they really
What
afford
they've got is what
within their
they've
budget,
got.
right?
Yeah.
And if you look at the story again, what they're basically saying is that look, students are actually safer on campus than off campus because
Yes.
then the school can provide some kind of security. But off campus, they really can't provide security. So
Absolutely
they're encouraging
not.
schools to probably increase the number of hostels they have
Yes.
on campus. Because from this data here, about 75% or so, 74%, or of the students live off campus. So and this is how it is everywhere in the country. perhaps maybe all over the world, but it's probably
It
worse
is
worse
all
down
over the
here.
world.
And
So
this goes back to an argument for perhaps autonomy of universities and tertiary institutions, saying that maybe they should have alternative sources of funding other than the government.
yeah, and this has already been proven in private universities, and private universities have basically shown us the way. They showed that you can actually run
Well,
university
actually, and but
Don't
but,
let us
but,
to hear
but,
you.
But the thing is, you see, the solution isn't always private universities. Just that I think the solution. Stop and don't give me that look. The solution isn't always private university. How about these private people invest in the universities that they went to in order to make it stronger? The way some of you alumni
maybe through
do.
an endowment.
Yes,
and co-
endowment
but they exist,
fund,
but
yes,
then you're
they
not
should
really
do that.
sure how these bodies are going.
Yeah, but it's about
I mean,
putting good management that you can control. You, the benefactor, the people, the donations. You watch how you can control and the way to control them. I think that's what's better. And look, you can build 1,000 universities. That's not going to solve bad education system. It isn't.
I think though personally, nothing really wrong in having private investors have hostels outside universities. I mean,
No, nothing wrong with that.
So what we probably need to look at is the kind of security we have around such hostels, right? So do we need regulations around hostels built for students? Not just against
There are
robbery,
actually regulations.
also against rape and other forms of attack.
Which
Right,
is state
and,
police getting a bit
and then
more
the kind of hostels that they build, are they really hostels that can actually accommodate students who should be reading or preparing for exams, or is it just hostels, or maybe hotels that are converted to hostels and things like that? So I guess that's where the government probably needs to be looking at, but you can't have the universities form hostels. So it's just impossible.
Thank you very much, Ugo Dre. Thank you very much for that. Mr. Ireti, just a very quick update on this next story from the Thisday newspaper. The police, the Nigerian police force, say that they have arrested suspects who will be paraded at the headquarters of the NPF in Abuja on Thursday. Today, they're suspected of being Badeh's killers. That's the immediate past chief of Defense Staff, Air Marshal Alex Badeh.
Yeah, they were attacked.
Literally is.
Yes, that's literally it. But apparently, this story says he was the only one killed. Other stories say there were 2 people killed. So this story in here implies, or should I say, implies and actually states that there are speculations that he was assassinated. Given that if he was the only one can understand that. If he wasn't the only one, then unfortunately people die when guns are shot by horrible people.
I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that, Ms. Ireti. As we move on for the Vanguard newspaper next, the NNPC reverses a deficit and posts a 9.85 billion naira trading surplus. Now, some people may think, oh, well, they've got money, but this is a month difference. This is there's quite a significant rebound from a 3.90 billion naira deficit that was reported in August to this 9.8 billion for the month of September in terms of a trading surplus. And they've attributed the 13.75 billion naira improvement in their bottom line to higher revenue by its upstream subsidiary, Nigerian Petroleum Development Company. Ugo Dre, could you explain these?
Yeah, so NNPC releases this monthly report, and we started doing that since Kachuku came in, and it's gratifying to note that they now post monthly surplus. In fact, I think year to date, they probably should be at about 79 billion in terms of surplus over deficits. But I mean, these are not audited numbers. These are just management reports. So I mean, if you go in there and see something else, maybe higher, maybe lower. But what's interesting to note is that what is driving this surplus is basically upstream crude oil sales, as we'd all expect. So the more oil NNPC is able to sell, the more money that it can make. But bear in mind that oil prices are dipping. I think it hit about $50 or so.
50-37.
Yeah, yesterday. So oil prices dip, and it's now way below our 2019 projected budget, right? So which means that the budget
don't
likely to rise again.
Wow,
right?
but
So
our 2019 budget doesn't kick into halfway through 2019.
Yeah.
Second quarter.
Well,
So
it won't be fast.
So we're hoping, that it doesn't go down, but goes up. But interesting thing to note here, though, because I was looking at these numbers and I was looking at fuel, which is basically NNPC basically subsidizes fuel now. So the FG has figured out a way, a backdoor way to basically subsidize fuel out of the government's budget. And it says here that during the month of September, Nigerians, I think they imported or distributed about 1.66 billion liters of petrol. So that means Nigerians consume about 55 million liters per day. That is humongous.
Yeah.
I still remember back in 2011 when people were speaking 40 million per day. Now we are 55 million liters per day.
Food for both of you. Thank you very
seriously.
much for that, Ugo Dre. We've got a few messages coming through, so let's see if we can get into them very quickly.
A crew sent in this one on WhatsApp. Crew says, off-campus security, is that not police business? Should we turn vigilante to business too? Are public universities opening their gates to individuals to come invest in hostels?
Interesting questions. Waltimi from Kurdu says the second Niger Bridge is another Jalvita Steel Company project. Thank you very much for that.
Next story from Premium Times. We have this one, and I'll come to you, Cheta, for this one. Boko Haram. Despite evidence, Nigerian police deny 167 officers absconded. So, in reaction to the attacks by Boko Haram on November 18th, the police force deployed 10 officers for training, first of all, to the Nigerian Army Special Forces Training School in Buniyadi, Yobe State. And when the officers apparently learned that they were going to be deployed to different locations where the fight against Boko Haram is really heating up in the borders, they fled. And the numbers, tally to about 167 based on official police documents. But the police public relations officer, Jimo Moshu, came out to say, no, that is absolutely untrue.
Is that not what they always do? They first deny, then when the thing becomes bleeding obvious to everybody, they will now start trying to rationalize.
But why is this happening? Like the counter reports and everything.
See, the funny thing was that when the story first broke, the first people who hinted at this yesterday was actually Sahara reporters. Before Premium Times now came up with a list of the...
Because Sahara reporters put the number at 190.
Yes.
Premium Times said
now
167.
67, and it presented a list complete with names, rank number, name, service number, rank, and everything. And the initial reaction from the police was something along the lines of know that they just went for holiday or something. So it's something kind of ridiculous, which was the first knee-jerk reaction before this official denial came out. See, Nigeria has so many problems; it's almost unreal. And for me, there are two real problems from this thing. The recruits that's absconded with their arms and ammunition. That's something that is very important.
That is scary.
They carried the weapons and the ammunition that they were given, and they took off. Now, if you've ever been that way, Buniyadi is a straight road down from Potiskum, and from Potiskum you can get transport to pretty much anywhere in this country. So those guys could be anywhere by now. That's one. But the real big news is not even the absconding. It's the fact that the police is quietly transferring policemen to act as some kind of auxiliary fighting force
to support
against Boko Haram. What that tells you is that despite all the denials, again, that theme of denials, the war is going very badly. The last time the police was involved in physical fighting in a war, in a military operation in this country, was in the Civil War. Now, these stories, both from Premium Times, from Sahara, from Thisday, says that they were training 2,000 men. 2,000 men is roughly 3 battalions. So you are deploying 3 battalions of police to fight the terrorists. Again, when the Civil War was going badly initially, after the Biafran invasion of the Midwest and all of that, Nigeria had to deploy World War II veterans and mobile police as auxiliary fighting units. That's how far back we did this, 51 years ago. So it's time for these guys to face up and tell us this thing is going badly, we need help. Trying to do a thing all over the place and beating chests that no, we are technically defeating. It is not working.
All right, Cheta, thank you very much. Moving on to this next story now from Guardian newspaper. Government implores youths to enroll in NDE training programs. I was talking about the National Directorate of Employment graduates. They graduated 500 youth in Anambra State. The federal government urged the youth to enroll in a training program. The Labour and Productivity Minister, Chris Ngige, who sponsored the graduates at the training program, said that this is to enable the graduates to become employers of labour by extension, and to use the funds that have been given to them to form cooperatives to strengthen whatever business they've been given to engage in. Ms. Ireti, looking at this level of independence and employment, or rather empowerment that has been given to the youth, how do you see this playing out?
What I want to say, well, look, I'm not. How do I see it playing out? You ask a very good question. I don't know whether it's yet another red herring, like the rest. I don't know. It's good that we're training, and we do need to do once students have finished with the NYC, etc., they do need, what do you call it, vocational, practical training, etc., and that's good. And of course, we don't have enough big business or whatever to employ them to take, to absorb them into the world of work. So yes, some of them should create their own businesses, but others should also try and get into work and find a way. So this is good. It's just some of the whole story. It says, there's something that said here. He said, it is my belief that you have been well exposed to the unquantifiable benefits provided by the opportunity to improve and better yourselves and the country at large. The coordinator advised the beneficiaries to put into work whatever knowledge and expertise they have gathered in the training. He stressed, and this is the part, the need for them to gain fame. Really? Strive for expertise, shun fear of the unknown, and develop determination to succeed despite known and unknown obstacles. I have no idea what that means. I don't know what language he was speaking there. I don't know how that is supposed to. I don't know how that is supposed to empower or strengthen a young person that's going through training. I don't know. I think.
Here's what I think.
Gain fame.
No, but here's what I think is important to note here as something that should be encouraged and not swept away with cynicism, is the fact that they've been trained in production and marketing of soaps, household products like soaps and disinfectants. These are things that
they've been trained. I mean, you can train them in how to make cassava with cassava into curry. That's great.
You would agree that these are not the requisite, the kind of knowledge or expertise that basic youth would have, even as
you mean the average youth?
The average youth that
well,
graduates from
incidentally, there are lots of people who are actually making soaps and selling soaps in Nigeria.
And that's
actually.
after getting proper training, hands-on training.
Yes,
after school.
But I get you. I'm not disagreeing with the training, and you guys also talk about how Google is your friend and and all of that stuff. I don't disagree with you on that.
Well, you have a problem with the fame.
No, but what is it? Need to gain fame? How about just focus and get on with it?
I mean, fame. If we're
strive for expertise, no. Strive to strengthen, to grow, incremental rise. Shun fear of the unknown. Actually seek out. Seek out the unknown. Because it's those who seek out the unknown that actually change the world. This whole sentence, like I said, perhaps Cheta understands it, maybe he's from his village. I have no idea. I think this is one of the most demotivating. I would not want my child to be spoken to by this person that made this statement.
Well, it's interesting because looking forward, hopefully, positively looking forward, really, if this products are exported, we'll see that Nigeria will be
Lovely. I don't disagree with that.
All right,
Lovely.
So let's move on to this next story from New Telegraph. Zamfara killings will affect food security. Who's saying this? That's Lieutenant General Abdulrahman Dambazal, who's the Minister of Interior. He said that the federal government says the persistent attacks on residents of Zamfara State by bandits will affect food security, and it's very instructive because he's speaking about this as a major concern based on the fact that people in those areas really depend on cultivation of land for their livelihood.
It's really sad. It's really sad. It really is sad. And I was saying downstairs, to everyone that why do they keep attacking Zamfara? What is it? What is it? What is it? And Cheta, you said when we're talking about it, one of the things you said was it's a resource. It's a fight for the resource
control.
But of course, but of course, it's stirred up by external forces, and that's what happens when you're not together. You allow negativity and ugliness to kind of find a place within your community.
I really love that you mentioned external forces, Ms. Ireti, because I really need to understand how these things play out, because it seems as though that the external forces that you mentioned could be an external influence trying to manipulate the bandits that are causing this mayhem.
That's what external
to
forces
achieve
do.
an
That's-
overall goal.
That's what external forces do.
Mm.
That's really what they do. You know, if you have, like Cheta said, if you have a state, a place that's sitting on huge resources, obviously it's not just the local people that will know about it, and certainly it's often not the local people that actually gain from it. It's often external
Because most of the
people.
time, the local people may not know
See,
really what the
And
major
how
factors
to-
are.
and how to
let me
mine
give
it,
a quick,
etc.,
a quick
etc.
summary of what
You know,
appears to
so-
be happening,
Okay.
at least from the quick geopolitical analysis. Zamfara sits on a lot of minerals, gold being one of the primary ones. Land rights in Nigeria is enshrined with the government, but there's a possibility, and this is also happening in some other states, there's a possibility that this may change at some point in future. So if somebody owns the land, or some people own the land, and then the laws around land rights change, who stands to become very rich off of the minerals under their feet? So we are looking at a land grab. That's
Yeah, pretty much. And you know what he, like I said, what he said here, and then Dambazao goes on and he says, you know, he expressed that President Buhari's condolences to the people, and he goes on to say this administration will continue to go to any length to protect the lives and properties of the citizens, because any single innocent life lost, be
Rhetoric.
quiet,
puts me to sleep.
life lost has a devastating effect on the nation and is unacceptable. That's all very well and good. Earlier on in the story, there is a quote where he says, "This is the final warning. The bandits must stop these acts forthwith."
Can we go from
As
one
if
to
that's,
the next?
or else what? Exactly. Or
Uh,
else what? As if they're going to get scared and run back into the bushes.
All right, let's move on to this next
We
one.
need strength. We need strength.
Thank you,
to
Mr.
deal with
Ireti and
this.
Cheta, on this one. Cheta, I'll stick with you for this next story. IMF predicts 4% growth for Lagos, as according to Thisday newspaper. There was a party that was held. Attending was the governor of Lagos State, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, and the APC governorship candidates, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. There, the governor, Akinwumi Ambode, stated, outgoing governor, Akinwumi Ambode stated that the Lagos State governor, well, he's still the governor, come on, Cheta, don't be
Cheta,
serious.
you're so cheeky.
He stated that the Lagos State
I've
government,
elbowed him, Ambode, on your behalf.
that the Lagos State government would record 4% growth according to the International Monetary Fund. I mean, take us through the story.
Well, to quite a few people, that looks like good news. To me, it's not necessarily good news, because we have to look at things in terms of the bigger picture. The same story says the IMF projects that, according to them, the IMF projects that Lagos will record 4% growth. Same IMF projects that the rest of Nigeria will record 2.8% growth. We've been unable to meet all these IMF projections. They keep revising their projections for us down.
I wonder why.
Over the last few years, because we're not productive. You know that better than I do. I'm an economist, right?
But what are these factors?
Anyway,
that
but that's not the story here. So Nigeria, which is the larger economy within which Lagos resides, is projected to record 2.8% growth, while Nigeria's population is growing at 4%, which means that we are not scratching the surface of what needs to be done. In order for economic growth to actually make a dent, we need to double economic growth to population growth. Now, here's Lagos' own story. The National Population Commission in 2016 estimated that Lagos has a population, that's the Lagos metropolitan area, has a population of 21 million people. The Lagos State Government and the CDB Institute estimated that Lagos's population grows by 6,000 people a day, which is 1.56 million people a year, based on working days. And that gives Lagos a population growth rate of 7.43%.
So where's the deficit coming from?
4%. Have you been to the hinterland of Nigeria? Nothing is
Because
happening there, so everybody is dropping their tools and coming to Lagos.
He blamed
So
some
the point-
factors.
the point
He
I'm
said
making-
some things that might improve this tally will be the decongestion of the ports. We know these are problems that we see every day with the traffic situation going on.
The
But yes, round up, please.
this morning, Rutus and people and his business express people
Analysts,
were
yes.
complaining that there was still traffic, despite the fact that Igbo people have gone for Christmas. With 7.43% growth rate, a 4% growth rate for the economy is not something to be celebrated.
Thank you, Cheta. Next story and final story from Punch newspaper. Federal government to reduce issuance of short-term domestic debt instruments. Ugo Dre, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so here it is. Here's it. Typically, Nigerian's debt is divided into local and foreign. So local debt is usually about 7%, while foreign is 30%. Government has been trying to move it to 60-40 instead of the current 70-30, and that's obviously because local debts are typically more expensive than foreign debt. But the story is basically looking at the local debt component that is due within 1 year, and it's actually quite high. I think according to this article, it's about 2.61%, and this is where all your treasury bills and co fall into. Yeah. So the problem here is that because these debt are very expensive, 16-15%. In some cases 17%. It means for the government to, because the government basically doesn't, it's not like they repay this debt, they refinance it every year, so by issuing new debts to replace existing ones. And so refinancing this debt, it costs quite a lot. It costs the government a lot of money to refinance this debt, and this is something that they're looking at, and they know that they can't continue this way. It's not sustainable, and with our deficits increasing, it's likely that I don't know how they're going to be able to stop this, and government is going to continue to borrow in the years to come. But it's something that some of us are worried about, and I hope that they can do something about it.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen and lady, for coming in this morning, even as Cecilia Lagos is
I'm so tired.
Up a nice scarf on her.
It's a holiday.
Cecilia Lagos on all social media
Christmas
platforms, and Cheta is at Chickster on Twitter as well.
Still remains miserable. Yes.
Ugo Dre.
And Ugo is looking fine. How is it you wake up looking fine like this?
We'll find out next in 15 minutes. We'll have a very interesting conversation rounding down the very exciting events and probably the low times on entertainments inside of the grapevine, and that's at 8:15. Good morning.
Invest your money where it makes more money for you. Download the iInvest app at www.iinvestng.com.
Like seriously, what is